Hello beauties, Shaz here, and we're back for another To Buy or Not To Buy. Yes, I know, it's been a long time. In these videos, I talk about new makeup that has released, and I try to talk myself out of buying them on camera. I have not done one of these for a while, so I don't know how long we're going to be here, but I'll try to make it as fast as I can. Hopefully in the process, I can inspire you to also use the makeup you already own instead of opting into buying more makeup. I'm pretty sure you have a dupe for a lot of stuff that's releasing. If that sounds good, go ahead and give a thumbs up and let's get into the video. Okay beauties, candle for today is Peppermint Frost. Although we're not in the holiday months, well, to me, it's a pretty sort of wintry candle, and thankfully it is now more cool in Austin, so I can actually feel like we are in winter. I still have coffee, although it's a little bit later in the day, and as I always do, my nails, y'all. These are my nails, and I'm gonna have to tell you all that over the holidays, I bought one of those infamous horseshoe magnets that people are using for their nails, which helped me create these. I don't think you can see them. These are essentially velvety sort of designs, the kind that those horseshoe magnets create. If you don't know the kind of horseshoe magnet I'm talking about, I am gonna put a photo on the screen. It's very known if you've been using magnetic nail polishes, and the one that I'm wearing is actually a galaxy far, far away from Mooncat. I bought this which is part of their Star Wars collection during their sale early in November. And I also bought this other one, Lord Vader. These are two beautiful, beautiful ones. Mooncat has beautiful nail polishes, y'all, and I did a whole lot of shopping during that sale. Yeah, and I think some more shopping might happen because I've mentioned this already in another video that is already posted. I think in my last video that Mooncat has a collection collab with Avatar: The Last Airbender, and some of those nail polishes are so beautiful. And the thing is that those collabs never go on sale to my knowledge, so I might as well just buy them instead of waiting on a sale. But anyway, too much there, y'all. Another thing, I did buy a crazy amount of ILNP nail polishes, y'all, and let me tell you, they're so beautiful. ILNP has become my favorite nail polish brand because it's not only gorgeous, 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 super, super unique, it's also cheaper than the other ones. It's cheaper than Mooncat. And I mean, I like Mooncat, but Mooncat does have a few that I feel like the photo on the site doesn't necessarily represent what the shade actually looks like. And let me know below if you're at all interested in me continuing talking about nail polish. But Cuticola is a brand I would like to try this year. I learned about it from these nail polish. I've gotten so into nail polish that I watch a lot of nail polish videos online. They are so soothing when you watch somebody else apply nail polish. And I learned about Cuticola. And y'all, as I had mentioned before, I bought the magnetic version of blends, so I think I might retire my old one because now with the magnetic one, I can actually use the shades for making my own creations, which is something I love doing, as you know. And today I'm going to use this one, which is frankly brand new. I've never used it and it's just so pretty. Beautiful. Friends, I know I've been gone and I feel like I have to make a disclaimer about it. I've been gone for some time. I have been insanely busy with work and I'm so happy to have a job that I'm never going to complain about that. But then separate from that, I fully intended to make at least 2 videos over the holiday, times. But I caught the flu and I was flat for a good 10 days. It was horrible. And it made me tell myself that I'm always going to get vaccinated because I hadn't had the flu since college and I forgot how miserable it can be. Let's talk about this one. I just saw this morning, another collab between Deandra Nicole and Bella Beauté Bar. She had the Ultraviolet collab, which was, if I remember correctly, an all purple palette, and this is sort of like a pinky sister to that palette, and it looks pretty amazing for Valentine's Day. And you know, if brands want to do anything for Valentine's Day, now is the time to sell those things, and I think that's probably the intent here. But I can dupe this, so not for me, but it's beautiful. And I think Bella Beauté Bar as a brand is a brand I would like to try. Did I ever post that video where I talk about the brands I like to try? Maybe I'll do one this year. If you're interested, let me know. I, believe it or not, I owe a lot of taxes to the government this year. So, and I know I didn't have a job last year, but I did some Roth conversions. So I need to pay a lot of taxes. And because of that, don't got no money to spend on makeup. So yeah, I'm trying to figure out how much I owe so I can pay it off before I need to pay penalties, which then forces me into a no buy. And I feel like if I end up buying stuff, it might be more nail polish. I mean, I already talked about the Avatar, the Last Airbender thing that I'm very, very interested in buying. And I know the stuff is on pre-sale right now. Don't like pre-sales. You all know why. I've talked about it before. Another thing, now that we're talking about nail polish, that I have my eyes on is Winter. I think the name of the collection is Winter Melancholy, which is the 2026 winter collection from Cadillac. If you've been around for long enough, you know Cadillac is another nail polish brand I really like. And yeah, so that's another thing that I have my eyes on. But hey, let's see how much taxes I owe to the government. You know, those gotta be paid. I can't. You all know how it is with the government. You gotta pay up. Okay, we also have these. These are from Makeup Beauty Shop. This is the first launch of the year. 8 new multichrome duochrome shadows dropping at their shop. Honestly, I've mentioned this before. It's rare that I see something that I have not seen before or that I don't own a dupe for. Eyeshadow dupes that are mildly similar are probably gonna look the same on your eyes from an arm's length or more, and people are not gonna get into your face to be able to see your eyeshadow. So you might have more dupes than you think you do, because it doesn't have to be exact shade dupes. If I have a shade that is 70% a dupe of a shade that I see online, I'm like, I probably have this, I probably don't need it. Is it really worth that? I don't know. $13+, let's be honest, that's the price these things go for nowadays. And speaking of that, do I have a price? I don't have a price. Another thing is the price of everything probably increased this year. Not to mention the tariffs. NBA Cosmetics, everybody, 15 new singles. Now, I haven't tried NBA singles in quite some time. These are called Mega Chromes, and this is the only photo I have. These are supposed to be $10 each. Not a bad price for super multichromes, which is what they're calling them. And then you can always use someone's code, y'all. With everything, try to use someone's code. Don't pay full price. I don't yet have specific no-buy plans for this year, and once I come up with something, I might post it. But as I said, priority goes to paying my taxes first, and I'm trying to get all those tax documents ASAP so that I can do that this month, and then I can figure out how much money I have to buy non-essential stuff. I love makeup, you all know, but at the end of the day, it's not essential. I can live without. Which is why, even if I like these things, they're going to get punted down to later in the year. We have this from Notoriously Morbid. Really? Looks super different from anything else I've seen from Notoriously Morbid. Okay, there's 2 palettes. So you have Mirror Realm and you have Oriel Divide. And you also have Feral Little Coven. This shade is going to be added to your cart. I think if your cart has a value of $20 in it. We have this thing from Nomad. I kept seeing their stuff, their reveal questions coming, you know, the shades they post for the reveal coming up. Another 18 pan palette. This is Paris La Bohème. This is a pretty palette. And y'all, if you don't know, Paris has a special place in my heart. And La Bohème, the song by Charles Aznavour. If you know, you know. Yeah, so definitely sending hearts to this whole concept and idea. Let me know if you want me to dupe this. I think this is a great palette for this time of the year, because I see winter in here, I see Valentine's Day in here, and I see spring in here. I actually think this is a very creative palette. And frankly, I just noticed it. Like, this is not something that I saw. You know, a lot of times I'm scrolling through my phone and I see stuff, and then I'm like, oh, I want to say this thing about it if I make this video, but I just saw this. So this is actually the first time I'm seeing this palette, and I'm just like, that's a beautiful palette. Let me know if you want me to dupe this. I feel ridiculous even saying that, because I know you all have asked me to dupe a bunch of stuff as far back as Halloween time, and I just haven't had a chance to do that. Let me know if you still want me to dupe those Halloween palettes that you put in a request for. I might still do them anyway, just because, you know, some of these palettes are timeless. If I were to dupe something of the palettes that I've released recently, this would be the one, because I'm seeing Eterna, which is a, what is it, 20 pan singles palette from Pastel Roses UK. Here it says it's featuring an elegant and glossy finish. I'm not sure what that means. If you know, let the rest of us know below. But Pastel Roses UK, with having UK in the name, is an English brand. And I don't know what the situations are for getting stuff from the UK brands nowadays. Do you have to pay tariffs for them? I know Cosmic Brushes at some point included the tariffs in the price of the palettes. So right now I'm so wary of buying stuff from outside of the US. And I know I mentioned Cadillacer, which is a Swiss brand. And a lot of times I buy it on some Canadian websites. And now as I'm mentioning this, I'm just realizing I might have to pay tariffs on them, which might become another reason why I'm not going to shop. Let's get started with the look. First things first, Primer Potion. This is a new one that I had purchased some time ago and I forgot about. I'm trying to go through the stuff that I've bought before buying anything new, whether eyeshadow or other things, because why I should let the things I have stay around and spoil and go bad. Historically, this eyeshadow primer hasn't worked for me, so we're gonna test it today and see how it's gonna look. Last time I used it, it wasn't so bad, so I don't know, maybe they changed the formula between this one and the last one that I used, and the last one I used was at least 3 years ago. I have so many, you know, primers and whatnot. I mean, you've probably never seen me use this in a video, this Urban Decay Primer Potion, because I've just not used it in years. Lethal Cosmetics, y'all. This is their Are You Ready? I can't say it, but you all know. Collab with SpongeBob, the movie. Pretty palette. I feel like I've seen this before. This is literally an analogous color sort of scheme that we've seen many, many, many times before, adding a few like yellow and things like that here and there. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll tag my color theory video where I talk about like different color schemes and whatnot somewhere on the screen for you all. I'm not so sure about the eyeshadow palette because I feel like I can dupe it. Now, the parts that attract me more are those nail colors. I'm telling you all, I'm just getting addicted to nails. Another thing is that I've noticed that I'm more prone to wearing nail polishes. And like, I don't mind wearing funky nail polishes to work. I'm a little bit less likely to wear funky eyeshadows to work. I have. In fact, one day I even put glitter on my face and went to work, and I'm like, it's nobody's business. One day I did a full dark academia vibe, and I even got a few comments. I work in tech. For some of you all who have been around, you already know, because I've been working in tech since forever. And the office that I work in now is all men, and I'm the only woman. And I had this full dark academia vibe with super deep lips and whatnot, and I got a few comments from the guys because I think they were not expecting it. But oh well, you know, you want to be yourself regardless of where you are. So I'm here for the cheek sticks, or I don't know, lipsticks or whatever these are. Maybe these are multifunctional. Then I am for the eyeshadow palette, although the palette swatches look gorgeous. But as I said, I can dupe this. And I feel like I've seen this palette before. And you all, can you also remind me, is Lethal magnetic? I'm gonna pick this one. These are MSQ. I bought these on Amazon years ago just to test them. This kind of a palette I think is good for this time of the year because it's sort of a cool toned color family. And I think these are very good shades for work if these kinds of color families look good on you. So I'm gonna go with this. I'm gonna try to do a relatively work appropriate look. And when I say work appropriate, something I would feel comfortable wearing to work. And I'm fully aware of the fact that, you know, I feel a lot more comfortable with shades and colors. So what I'm comfortable wearing to work might not be what the average population is comfortable wearing to work. And I'm now picking another one. This is a smaller headed brush, and I'm gonna go into this shade because it's a gorgeous, gorgeous deep green shade. That first one is called Star Crossed, and this one is Melancholy. Okay, I'm just bringing it a bit more in and trying to do some form of cat eye-ish kind of look. Then I'm gonna blend the edge where the two shades meet with the first brush. I'm now bringing this under my lash line. I feel like a lot of times I intend to do something and I end up doing something completely different. I was not expecting so much pigment to be on the brush. Like, it was just supposed to be something that goes in my outer V, and now, like, I have a cat eye. Next things on the docket are these. These are from Glaminatrix. I've seen two multichromes. This one is a black base called Siren, and then we also have this one. This is an iridescent multichrome called Flare, and they're both new. There might be more new ones. They might start dropping more new ones. We have a Wicked Widow Beauty, a Rocky Horror Show collab. I actually like this, and you know, there are a few hits and misses from my perspective with Wicked Widow Beauty, and when I say hits and misses, it's just like things that I was drawn to versus the ones that I wasn't drawn to. And this one, I can see the vibe. I can see Rocky Horror in this palette. I actually think it's a pretty nice looking palette. Y'all, can you remind me if they do magnetic pans? I do like to try their brand at some point, but this palette is $78. And for 20 pans, that's not happening. Wicked Widow, come on. No, we're not doing this. And y'all might be saying, a lot of stuff is expensive these days, or everything is getting more expensive these days. Well, not if you use the makeup you already own. Now it's gonna be free. Okay, let me get more to this look. I'm going to use this awesome base booster from BH. And as I always say, I'm gonna say again how much I miss BH. Talking about BH, Heart Revolution came up with this palette. Yeah, not my kind of palette, but hey, these shades are not going to show up on me, but if these are your things, then maybe you can make it work. I'm actually very impressed with how these deep green shades worked on my eyes. When I, at the end of the video, bring the camera closer to show you this look from close up, pay attention. On this side, I try to make it not as blended. So there's kind of two distinct looks. This is very obvious that these two shades are different and separated. On this side, it just naturally blended so much, and I'm very much enjoying this. I'm changing my opinion maybe of this. I don't know. I want to use this one. This is so pretty, and it's just like, it looks purple from some angles and green from some other angles. It's just, let me show it to you. It's just kind of crazy. I almost feel like this is a little bit more involved than something that would be in a palette where I wouldn't expect the palette to have like very special shades. Okay, so I'm bringing this here, and then I'm also bringing it under and connecting it to this shade under my lower lash line. This is also MSQ. Bought this years ago for like $8 or something from Amazon. And honestly, it's been performing pretty well. I don't think it's any worse than any other incumbent brand that is third-party manufactured, which is like a lot of other brands. Now, are there way better brushes out there than this? Probably. Do I have some of them? Probably. But honestly, this is very good for $8. Like, if I was on a budget, I would totally highly recommend this. I think it works pretty well. I have bought like $20 brushes, and I'm not going to name the brand to shade the brand, but I've bought expensive like $20+ brushes that did not last past like a year for me. Okay, so this eye look, I'm here for. This shimmer, y'all, is just so insane. Maybe you'll see more of it when I bring the camera closer. This is no like simple duochrome kind of a thing. This is just has a brain of its own. I saw this is from C Beauty Mall, and you all have told me these are very pigmented, and this caught my attention because these are gorgeous shades. Now the thing is, this is how human brain works. When you're attracted to certain color family, chances are you have a lot of things in that color family. So I can probably dupe this many times, but that doesn't make me look at this and enjoy looking at it any less. And the other thing is that these are also magnetic, so I feel like at some point something might happen. Okay, beauties, I finished the look off camera. Actually, everything I used are the things that I took on the trip with me that I was intending to make looks during the holidays. So yeah, the lipstick, the mascara, everything. And I'm gonna put everything in the description box below. But my recommendation to you is, if you want to recreate this, use the makeup you already own first before buying anything. These launched some time ago before the holidays, but we never talked about them, and I imagine they're still available. The first one is these two from Odin's Eye. They came back. You know, these were the original Christmas palettes that I think launched 3 years ago or something. They were super popular, and it seems like now they're back in the magnetic version. This is actually kind of exciting, except for the fact that, full disclosure, I have not heard good things about the magnetic stuff that Odin's Eye has released. And generally with Odin's Eye, I personally never had good experience. Now I've only used 3 palettes from them. I would love to hear your thoughts on Odin's Eye below. The last time I used them was quite a while ago. I want to say at least 2 years ago. So maybe their quality changed. I know nothing at this point, so I don't know if I want to recommend or not recommend or anything. And I would love to hear your thoughts. Another thing that I also find kind of ridiculous, y'all, is that each of these is around 80 bucks. Yeah, so each of these palettes is more than $70, and that is just unacceptable to me. Like, what? Didn't Odin's Eye used to have like $40-something palettes, and now they're way more pricey? Why exactly? Somebody needs to explain that to me, please. Oh, and this is another one. A few things that have already dropped. These dropped in December. Sparkle Mist collection from Dieverune. Very exciting, very Christmas appropriate, although Christmas is past. But hey, these colors are cute. My only question is, those swirly ones, you know, red and green, don't mix very well. So my question is, like, what does that swatch to? I'm curious. And then let's talk about this thing last, which is kind of pretty. This is also from NBA Cosmetics. I already talked about them. These all launched before Christmas. It's just I never had a chance. And y'all, if you haven't bought them, let's talk about why we shouldn't buy them. Now, this is gorgeous, and I love the fact that this has pans that are coming out, and I very conveniently don't have a price. This is supposed to have extreme shine chromes and duochromes and mattes, so not multichromes. I know for a fact I can dupe this palette, and I've probably even owned palettes that are a dupe of this. Now, This is another palette that is also, I feel like this looks very similar to that with Lethal palette and a bunch of other palettes we talked about. This is also a pretty good palette for this time of the year because it's kind of Valentine's Day going into spring with all the greens. Analogous color story. I probably own 200 dupes off. So will I run to buy? No. Okay, beauties. What you just watched, I videoed 10-ish days ago, and I never got a chance to edit it because work has been crazy, crazy, crazy. It requires me to work super long hours, and I was just editing it, and then I was like, hey, there are new things that I've released and maybe I can just squeeze it here. So I'm gonna do that because today is a snow day in Austin and there's absolutely nothing going on, so there was no excuse for me to not do some videos. So we're gonna keep using the Longing palette, and I'm gonna make a look which is my signature go-to look if I want to do something super fast for work. And let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is Cliona's sale that's coming up on the 27th to February 2nd, 3 p.m. EST. A whole lot of stuff is on sale. I'm not going to go over everything. If you want to know their sale, go to their Instagram to see what's on sale. But it goes anything between 15% all the way to 30% off. Now, I don't know how things work with the tariff situation, and Cliona is a Canadian brand. I'm sure a lot of you already know this, so you know you might have to pay tariffs, unfortunately. Check out Cliona's website. I know they had some stuff around how the tariffs would be assessed. Now, I really like a lot of Cliona's nail polishes, but I've gotten to the point where I want to try other nail polish brands. Yeah, let me quickly show you what I'm wearing because this is gorgeous. These I bought during the holiday sales from ILNP, y'all. This is Flicker. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous nail polish brand. Unfortunately, when I video, you're seeing the shift just from one angle, but this has a gold to green to copper shifts over a gray base. It's insane, and you know, I would totally order some more from ILNP. So I think I might pass on Cliona also because I have a lot of Cliona stuff. I have a lot of Cliona nail polishes, and outside of nail polishes, I don't really need makeup. I feel like I have almost everything that Cliona has. Let's talk about this one because I definitely made a segment about it in the earlier part of the video. I might have cut that segment out because I was like, where is ColourPop and the next iteration in the Twilight series? They do this every January. Well, they've done it and they haven't gotten done with all the series, right? It's not a trilogy, it's a quadrilogy, whatever it's called, the 4-piece thing. So now they're showing us this. This is for the Eclipse movie. You know, the full collection is $93, which honestly, I've seen ColourPop's palettes, the 9 pans, being $9 and being able to buy them for $7 on sale not that long ago, you know, maybe 5-ish years ago. So now seeing stuff having hiked up prices, I'm a little raising brows and wondering if I really need anything. Now, this is objectively a good palette for Halloween time, but does it not remind you all of Vamp from Bella Beauté Bar, which I have duped? Put the dupe below. I'm gonna continue using this Urban Decay's primer potion. Oh, by the way, I found my mirror. You know what I really liked about ColourPop was that it used to have magnetic pans. Literally, you were guaranteed that all of their pans were magnetic, and that was super exciting for me, loving to mix and match shades and making my own things. But now I've heard they're no longer magnetic, and with the hiked up prices on top of that, makes me be less interested in them even. While that's drying, let's continue. We have this one from Dieverune Cosmetics. I've never heard of this brand. $47 for 12 pans. Okay, nice, but not something we haven't seen before. Definitely don't need. I can dupe this. There is also this from Terra Moons. This looks like 10 singles that are very appropriate for this time of the year, you know, winter season. I have completely lost trust in these photos because they're insanely modified with, you know, different tools AI and who knows what else. So I really like to see some actual swatch videos or reels of these. But it's beautiful. Veil of Winter is the name, and it is a whopping $98 for 10 pans. That's like $10 a pan. And I was just telling you all the days when I would buy a 9-pan for $9. And I know, you know, those 9 pans wouldn't be shiny, shifty, sparkly, multi-chromey, whatever, but there's what, like 5 matte shades in this palette? And I like Terra Moons, and it is a brand I would like to buy from possibly this year, but $98 is just too much. Too much! We have this Moonlight Muse sneak peeked from Artitude. We also have something else sneak peeked from Cosmic Brushes, and we have Diabla coming from Blend Bunny. This is a cute palette, and you know, Blend Bunny I like. It is also magnetic. It also has very good prices. Like this palette of, I don't even know, 20 whatever number of pans is just $48. And don't quote me on the magnetic part if you know whether this is or is not magnetic. Right below, they have been moving in the magnetic direction, so I just assume they're all continue to be magnetic, which I like, but I don't need a palette of these shades because I have these shades in my collection over and over. But this is a great palette for this time of the year, you know. As I mentioned, kind of goes back to what I mentioned earlier in the video, that these shades, you can do wintry looks as well as Valentine's Day looks, which is coming up. We have more from Cleona. I already talked about them. These are nail polishes. I would imagine these wouldn't be on sale. You know, usually the most latest releases are not on sale. These, you can buy the whole bundle for, okay, this can't be correct because it says 40 Canadian dollars, which is approximately 65 US dollars. It should be the other way around. US dollars is valued more than Canadian dollars. So this has got to be wrong unless the price is different for the US because of tariffs, which could be the sad truth of these days. Beautiful. Do I need these shades? I mean, I always need everything, but you know, need. Do I really need these shades? Okay, let's get started with the look. The first thing I do is I take a round-headed brush like this. Is from Cosmic Brushes, and I go into a, you know, medium toned transition shade. You can do that one or this one depending on if you want warm or cool toned. Let's do this one. And I put the shade in my crease like, now when I don't want to bring too much attention to the fact that I've worn makeup. This is what I do. Guys, I'm gonna go across the lid with a deeper shade. Now you can go super deep depending on what kind of effect you want, or you can go kind of medium toned if you don't want to bring too much attention to it. Also, you can do super neutral or super colorful depending on what you feel comfortable with. Now, the good thing about using something in the crease that is just purely neutral, because that's purely neutral, this has some purple in it, is that I could, for example, put this green across the lid, or I could put a different shade like that across the lid, versus like mixing that and that might not be the best of ideas. Again, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll put the color theory video below. Now, my go-to shade usually is a variation of purple, just because I love purples. They look good on me, or I think they look good on me, which is why I usually use this, and a lot of times this shade or that shade depending on how deep I want it to go. But let me do something a little bit different because I want to make this look something that more or less everybody feels comfortable with. So I'm gonna go with this medium toned brown. Now this is not super deep, not super light. It's also a tad bit olivey. Now, so as I said, I'm gonna just put this across my lid, and this shade proves to be deeper than what I was expecting. Oops. So one thing you can do is to mix it a little bit with that, or you could go with that one. I feel like that one is just too green. And I'm literally just doing this across the lid. And then once I'm done with that, I'm going to clean the edge by blending it with that first brush with whatever shade is left on it. So the shade on the lid is literally not going to be super visible when you have your eyes open, and that's the goal. Like, and if you feel comfortable, now a lot of times I don't do this myself, you can take the dark shade and rub it across your lower lash line. And then I'm going to blend that out with the brush I used for the transition shade. Okay, y'all, I finished the look off camera and I put some, one of the ColourPop blotted lips on my lips. This is Zuma. So this is the type of look that I do if I want to do something super fast, super simple, but I just want to look like I've put a little bit of effort into my look. This looks a little bit more smoky, so maybe it's more appropriate for a little bit later in the day. I didn't realize how deep that shade is. If you don't want it to look kind of smoky in evening and you want to do something more for the day look, you can go with a lighter shade. Like you could have done exactly the same thing, for example, with that shade or this shade, whatever shade that would work on your skin tone. Continuing with the stuff we haven't talked about, there is this thing releasing from MBA Cosmetics, Snowbound 26 eyeshadow palette. Y'all, this is for a whopping $90, and these are supposed to be extreme multichromes and duochromes. It's supposed to have 8 multichromes and 7 duochromes, and I'm guessing the rest of the shades are just regular shimmers. I tried MBA Cosmetics some years ago, and I was not the biggest fan of their multichromes. Y'all tell me if they've improved, because you know these brands change and improve all the time. But you know, $90. And now if there's something super unique releasing, yeah, I'll be eyeing it, but not just anything. We have this sneak peeked Midnight and Aspen from Touch of Glam. Okay, Touch of Glam is a brand I have my eyes on. We also have Ladybug Glow. I have not heard of this brand in quite some time. Grunge Resolution palette, I suppose in collaboration with Ice Cream Beauty Box. Okay, we also have something sneak peeking from Dee Dee's Signature called Sweethearts and Secrets. Supposing this is a hint at a Valentine's Day palette. Okay, can't wait to see what it is. You know, a lot of times I'm not interested in picking anything up because I just don't have any room in my collection. But I can be on a diet and still look at the menu and still enjoy looking at the menu, or even looking at other people eating and still enjoying them and be happy for them. And I saw this one and I thought that was the one that got me to say I need to go make another to buy or not to buy, y'all. This is Bleeding Hearts from Gourmand Girls. This is beautiful palette. Again, a tad bit winter season, a whole lot of it Valentine. It seems like they're kind of hinting that you can use these two palettes together, and I do think they make it an interesting combination. Now, I have not used Gourmand Girls in some time. I have one of their palettes that they released 2 or 3 years ago for Valentine's Day, and I really like that. And in all honesty, it has a lot of shades that are in this palette. It just doesn't have that green matte. It has a lot of shades that are in this palette. So definitely don't see a reason why I should pick this palette, separate from the fact that I don't have a need for it. I also saw this one from Notoriously Morbid Waiting Room palette. The shades look a little bit more fall appropriate to me. And now that we're talking, let me talk about a few nail polishes. I know not all of you are into nail polishes, but y'all, I'm into color. Anything that has color, I can talk about it until I turn blue. We have these 3 from Mooncat. Okay, nothing that I have not seen before. We talked about ColourPop. Let's mention this one as well, which reminds me of 200 other palettes they've already released in the past. So I have a feeling if you look in your ColourPop palettes, you have a dupe of this. You don't need it. If you know any channels on Instagram that do nail polish news and like what new thing from nail polishes has dropped, let me know. I do follow a few creators online for this because I just love watching people swatch nail polish, like colorful nail polishes. It makes my day, makes me fall asleep, honestly, and it's just so relaxing. But I don't know of any pure news channels on Instagram. I mentioned this in the earlier part of the video, and Cadillac has now fully sneak peeked, or fully, you know, you can find swatches and videos and so on Cadillac's new release, Winter Melancholy, and y'all, between that and Avatar: The Last Airbender collab with Mooncat, I'm a little bit torn. There are so many exciting polish brands, indie polish brands out there that I'm so looking forward to possibly trying this year. So I think this year I might be doing a little bit more polish versus eyeshadow. I just want to use up the eyeshadows that I have. With that, beauties, we come to the end of the video. If you could not say no to any of these things, write in the comments below. If you managed to say no to any of these, also write that in the comments below. I love you all. I hope you have an awesome day, an awesome week, and also a happy new year. And until next time, bye.